Today, I'm excited to welcome Hector and Charlotte from Planets to Totally Music to chat about their musical career. Welcome to Totally Music. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you. My name's Charlotte King,
I'm Hector Castro.
and we are a music duo based in Southeast London called Planets.
Nice, good to have you on. So, how did you both meet and what inspired you to start making music together as a duo?
I was about a year and a half ago now. I was basically had come to the end of a relationship and I'd started a new job, moved out, kind of just hit the reset button in many ways, and I was looking for a singer to work with, to at first maybe do covers and then try and write music together, and then maybe start something from the ground up and just see if the process would naturally take us in that way. I had met with a few different singers and musicians, but I had come across Charlotte, who worked at a local pub, on as you know, she has another role which she'll talk about later, I'm sure. But I had heard Charlotte sing. I really liked her voice. She was doing covers on her Instagram page, and I obviously I snuck into the DMs embarrassingly, but I was very, very careful about the wording of my message. It was all music, and it was I just tried to sound as genuine as possible and not creepy, and kind of prayed that Charlotte would respond to me and not just ignore me like the rest of the weirdos out there. But we thankfully Charlotte accepted my message request. We met up, we spoke, when we kind of just things went from there really, where we did just covers together, and then eventually started just to write some music.
Yeah, because we have a shared love for like for the genre of music. We found like almost instantaneously that we were compatible in that way. And when we were experimenting with like harmonies, and I got in front of a microphone, I was so nervous because obviously, I was always a nervous singer anyway, but like when you're starting to, write lyrics and put them together and stuff, it can be very exposing, very vulnerable. But we immediately connected on that level, and we thought we soon enough scrapped doing covers and put all of our attention into writing songs, writing music, and we came to a conclusion, which is Planets.
Yeah, things got kind of serious when we started to accumulate a couple of like sketches for songs, if you like, whereas like we were recording at home, we were generating a sound. I think we were just exploring this and just trying to be as honest with ourselves as possible to see is this something worth mining? Is this something worth exploring? And then we kind of conjured up the courage to approach a producer locally, and we showed some songs. He particularly liked Red Earth, which was our first release, and we took a punt with it, and then things switched to another level then, where we thought, okay, let's try and give this 100%. Let's try and take this seriously and see where it goes.
Yeah.
And so that was our first release, was July 5th, and so things are very early for us.
Nice. So, how would you describe your musical style to somebody who hasn't heard your music before?
You want to tackle this one?
Do you know what? We have a lot of influences in our music. We love, I think in total we'd probably say it's in the category of like alt rock, but we've got a lot of stuff that's going to come out soon that touches in different genres. I mean, we're a huge fan of like classical music. Hector's a classically trained guitarist, so we come from that lane, if you like. I love Baroque music. I love all sorts of classical stuff. So I definitely think that though it might not show in some of our songs at the moment, it is to come, but you might hear some aspects of that elsewhere. We love folk music as well. There's lots of different genres, but for now, what we've released is like alt rock. Because we just love it, don't we?
Well, yeah, I think we're trying to, from my perspective, we're just trying to find out how to make an idea optimum. So when we come up with an idea, it's just trying to maximize that and make it sound as epic as possible. And being a guitarist, being a fan of rock and roll and heavy music and dance music. There's a sway and a bounce that we want to try and achieve, which with limited production, access is something that we always look at. So yes, we're in the indie alt rock lane, but we're very much we want to just sound optimum and very much just sound as individual as possible. So as particularly with Charlotte's vocal being at the center of the work and the words themselves as well. So yeah, it's early days. I think perhaps the second release was calculated a little bit more in the sense that we wanted to tick maybe some commercial boxes that weren't in consideration for the first release. So a shorter song, getting to the chorus a bit sooner, maybe altering the song structure so it's a bit more punchy. Even the production sounds a bit band-like, and obviously there's only two of us, but everything is composed in this room, everything's recorded in this room.
Yeah, so, and ultimately, I think one challenge that we sort of come across with our sound is that we have Hector plays the bass, he does all the parts, right? So, and I do all of the harmonies, and until we've got 6 or 7 different people singing a harmony line, and then we've got a drummer, a bassist, and all of these wonderful band members, we are somewhat limited to an acoustic sort of setting when we do gigs and stuff. But I will say it keeps us grounded in what we believe the song is actually about. And we love big production, we love big sound, and I think for people out there that love that sort of heavy, weighty feeling in the band, they're going to get it with our recorded stuff. However, we love working with just an acoustic guitar, just a voice, because that for us is a really good sign of a good song. So we value that very much. And in our gigs at the moment, we're a duo. We do it acoustically. We don't see it as a limitation. So
can you walk us through the creative process when you're writing and producing a new song?
Sure. Yeah. It starts with
you.
It starts with me. I tend to search for the idea with the acoustic guitar, or I'm not normally searching for a motif, something that can trigger further thought, and it can be. And some songs can happen really quickly, as I'm sure you've heard before, and some songs can take they're just not ready yet to come out of the oven, so to speak. They need more time, and so it's about I might have an idea for what the song is supposed to be about, in terms of narrative, but when you sit down to write words, the song kind of tells you what it needs in a way, so generally speaking, I will record a voice note of me playing and singing the song. I'm no singer, and then I probably won't show Charlotte until I feel like it's in that place where we can take it further. But the song is generally done, and then it's shown to Charlotte, and then it's explored, and then it's the process of fleshing the idea out and then making it sound optimum. And what Charlotte does after she's finished laughing at me singing is that she will essentially bring this zombie of an idea to life, by just purely acting on instinct of what part needs, and then it's very collaborative at that stage. But I've always loved writing words, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to start something with someone who I thought was special, who could communicate emotion in a really kind of natural way. We're very organic in the way that we like to work and think as well. So, we're penciling ideas about all sorts of things, and we talk about the music a lot, and that helps inform the decision making. But we are very instinctive. We know what it needs, and I think part of the process in the last 6 months is feeling like we will get better, not being too hung up on mediocrity or thinking that that song was okay. No, just let it be in the past and move on. Trust that you will improve, and if you don't, fine. That's fine too. But it's almost an anchor to think that in the past too much. So for example, like, we can't listen to Red Earth or Signs. We can't do it. we are surprised by the numbers ourselves. We're grateful and we love playing these songs live, but we don't go back in the past, and we're very much thinking about the future, and we're very excited about, because we know that we're getting better, and so, and then the more that we improve, the more tangible this whole thing feels, of Planets and what we're capable of.
And we're only just beginning, so
we're just beginning. We've had a lot of interest, but the process for the music is pretty much remained the same. And I think Charlotte will write in down the line when she is when she arrives at something that she feels more empowered or confident to talk about. But Charlotte's contribution is invaluable to me.
I very much need to. I love the thing that I love most when Hector comes up with an idea, and I get really excited about it, don't I? I suddenly
she's
feel
very
the
nice
fire.
to me. She's like you're a freak.
He's a freak because I can hear the hook, I can hear it, and I can't manufacture that. Not many people can. So I do feel very lucky to have stumbled across a talent like this.
Equally, I write with Charlotte in mind all the time. So now I'm writing and sculpting the idea, and I will write an idea or sing or come up with an idea, and I'm like, no, Charlotte won't go for that, or she won't pick that note.
He knows which notes I'm going to pick.
So I'm learning about what she does best.
It's like this. We both have to approve, and then I can sort of put my thing on it, which is, I would say that our USP, or one of our USPs, is, the harmony stacks, the full sound, the mixture of light and shade. I like that depth, that sound, vulnerability. I want to hear in every song, but I also want to hear strength. And I think they're intertwined. So so long as we have that, like, we're probably in agreement.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and also I think you convey emotion through those stacks, because also the intervals that you choose for those harmonies aren't conventional. You're always searching for something beautiful rather than like, oh, that sounds tasteful. Like it's always about maybe seeing what else we can do.
Yeah.
And your instinct on that is great. And I suppose what we're trying to do now is uplift the production so the listener can really take all of that in and all the process in, so yeah, it's sometimes it's tricky. We argue, we are like, things get like, we argue, and because I think but that's perhaps compounded by our schedules being so busy.
Yeah.
So Charlotte works evenings, I work during the day. Now Charlotte's got 2 jobs that she's maintaining, and then we come together when we can to like. So I try and do as much groundwork on the song as possible, and so Charlotte can just track and then do what she does best, but sometimes it's a bit of a sell, the idea, isn't it? Like, but thankfully recently, fingers crossed, it actually hasn't been the ideas that have happened.
Yeah,
we've just been like, we feel that, and so that's been really great. But if Charlotte doesn't go for it, I actually think I know. I know she won't go for it, so I don't show it. So I don't show the idea. So I'm learning too, and I've pushed that door open, because I feel like I'm with someone who I want to hear in 5 years' time, and that's exciting for me, because the ideas around the song and the words have to come from a very simple emotion or an idea or a theme, and not overthink it too much. But yeah. That's basically
it. So what themes or messages do you try to convey in your music?
Well, actually, do you know what? I think it follows on nicely from the point you just made. I do feel like a lot of our songs, there's a meaning behind them that is relatable. I think when Hector writes, I'm going to talk on behalf of you for a bit, but he tells me a lot of the time he goes to a place, and I know a lot of writers can definitely vouch for that, and they do the same. It's a process. It's a way of getting into the right world and headspace. But for me, though I don't write, I do have a tendency to sort of go for certain themes, and I think it shows perhaps in, specifically Signs. I think Signs is a very classic example of something I would feel passionate about writing about. We've spoken about this before, but I like to write about extraterrestrial, astrology, the meaning of life, all of that sort of realm of stuff, something that we don't necessarily talk about in words day to day. Do you want to add on that?
Well, I mean, Signs was very much inspired by the idea of making a decision, but being terrified to make it, and then almost relying on your astrology or just things that happen in nature for you to feel leverage to make your decision,
which I actually think is a universal experience, which is I think is what we're
it was I know you're into your astrology and crystals and all sorts of business, which is great, and I know zero about, but nonetheless, just because that's not part of me, I nevertheless look at coincidences to tell me things, or look at things that happen, and that's inspiring. It's also comforting in a way when it's difficult in life, because when you have to make difficult decisions, it's very isolating. You feel like, and some people don't. And so Signs was inspired by that idea, and then it's very much a journey, in terms of how do you communicate something through words that's not too obvious, or you're trying to go another way about it. And again, I go back to, I trust that the more that we write, the more that we do this, the better things will be, and the art will improve. Yeah. I'm a big believer. I'm a guitar tutor as well, classical guitar tutor, and I believe in the kind of process of, like, you do small things well, eventually, you get results. And I mean, but generally speaking, the writing has to be, the words have to be. I have to overcome some sort of internal turbulence and conflict, a bit of writer's block as well, which is really hard. But I mean, the songs that cover that at the moment, really, starting school and leaving your parents at the front gates and just kind of discovering what the world is like at the beginning, and realizing how innocent you are. Everything from that to my mum and dad's divorce, but then also being in someone like Voodoo, for example, is beautiful. I love that song because it's about being self-empowered to not be treated anything less than you are, really. So in a dating sense, when I was single, I found the whole journey to be really terrifying, because you are just stacked with so many other people. When you go on these dating apps, you feel undervalued, you feel even smaller, and I thought that was really sad. And so Voodoo is about not being just another page in someone's kind of file or Rolodex, actually feeling empowered from, like, inside out, rather than reaching for things to give you value. And the whole Voodoo pinned and all that sort of thing is what that came from.
Yeah, so in a way, I'd sort of argue of these. We've obviously only had 2 songs out at this point, but a lot of the material that we have come is somewhat written as an album, because they are of the same sort of, they're completely different feelings, but the point is that they are universal experiences, and
hopefully relatable.
With the aim to sort of like empower people and make them feel less alone, because I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I want music to move people. I want music to move me. I want to bring people with me, and I want music to bring me, with them. Whoever's writing it. It's about the listener inserting themselves into what's going on, even if they don't really understand. I mean, I saw an interview with Sting. Was it what the drummer Copeland from the Police, and he never understood what Sting was writing about, and then he really looked at the words and he was like, they're just beautiful. They just feel something when you read them, when you hear them. So that's a nice go-to, but obviously that's the ambition is there, obviously, to try and write something that even when you read it, it cadences really nice too.
Yeah.
Even if it's not sung, it cadences nice as you read it. But anyway, sorry, that's a very long answer.
Yes.
Sorry. Do you know what's happened? You've caught us at the end of work, and I'm now like, sorry, I have no gauge of how much we're rambling. Sorry.
Right. So how do you stay inspired and keep your music evolving, especially in the ever-changing music industry?
What do you think? Well, I'm quite competitive.
Yes.
But you would never know it. You would never know it.
I know it.
Because I'm a good. No, you don't. Because I'm a really good loser. As well. I'm a very good loser. I take the slaps. But I think the competitiveness of me, and obviously So Charlotte has never had like a singing lesson or anything like that. She's a trained actor. She's so super gifted. So she's a trained performer in her own right. She has high standards for herself and her vocals. So she is competitive, and she is reaching for improvement all the time. I
All the
see it in
time.
her instincts as well. Even when we're tracking and recording, she's very much like, no, delete, didn't like that. I can do better. And thankfully her takes are like instant, which is great. But I'm also competitive. So in answer to the question, the idea is just to actually just continue at the moment is just to continue improving,
Yeah.
to continue looking at and being really humble about what we're doing wrong, where we could improve, but rooting everything in the emotion of the song, hopefully. Because I think what happens is, even though branding is very important, the look, all these things, all the social media coverage and the branding, that is, so important as we're learning. But everything will feel better if we can root it in something that we believe in.
Yes.
So we love all styles. We want to cover everything off: folk, dance, rock and roll. If we can get everything in together and the song stands up and Charlotte sounds optimum as I know she will, then it will feel like a Planet song.
Yeah.
We're not scared of genre. The song, as again, like I said, the song will tell us what it needs. We will do, and part of our branding as well is to do different versions of songs that we release as well. So an acoustic version, we are looking at potentially notating a transcription for certain songs so they can be done by a quartet down the line, or whatever.
Orchestras,
Yeah,
anything,
we're so about the music if the emotion is there, if the melody is strong enough, but not shoehorning anything either. So
absolutely not.
I think what happens is your head can spin if you get too caught up in the music industry and what it expects and what it needs
and what everyone else is doing, and I understand that obviously people set precedents and you want to sort of achieve what other people achieve, but for us, we're very much in our own lane. I think
we're
that
6 months into this,
we
so
want to learn. We're not, we're open. So yeah.
So what's been your biggest challenge you've faced so far, and how did you overcome it?
Well, actually, I think I covered it a little bit earlier, and it has been somewhat a challenge at this. It's not so much at this stage, but because we've got like all these amazing like access to sounds, and in the studio we've got an amazing full sound and a really good setup now. When it comes to our live shows, we are keen to portray that, So if we have listeners on Spotify that want to listen to Signs in its full form, our limitations are currently acoustic, which can be a challenge. But at the same time, I've said before, we roll with it, we like it. But I am looking forward to the day where we're able to sort of like portray that to people and give them the full experience that we hear and that we feel in the studio.
We give it a lot of emotion though, Charlotte. We stump our feet, we play the
we give it all.
Really, we give the atmosphere of like we mean this. And Charlotte is so class. Like when she sings live, I feel it. And it's different. It's not just an acoustic version that's kind of like to be put alongside a John Lewis Christmas advert. It is punchy. It's like And
we rework them sometimes. We try. Hector's quite amazing at guitar. That sometimes he can play multiple parts and do it amazingly, and that's that. But when we've got synth elements and all of that sort of stuff, which really add to the atmosphere. We do try and adapt the music for that setting, and we read the room, but all of our gigs so far have been very like responsive to that sort of sound that we've been able to achieve. So not so much, a limitation, but a challenge that we saw as, something necessary to look at, because again, it links me back to the point of like, is the song good enough to stand on its own with an acoustic guitar and a voice? And if it is, then it, if we still feel it, then we can do it,
For me, it was just I think for me the biggest thing is just maintaining belief.
Yeah,
because it's just really, and just ignoring the negativity and just continuing along the process and believing that we will get better. We will, I think, find what we do best, and then obviously balancing our schedule.
That's a huge challenge.
It's been a nightmare.
It has, because like our hours are incompatible. We're both in jobs, you know, as we all do.
Yeah. It's the way it goes, but we're that's part of the challenge.
Yeah.
So what's been one of your most memorable live performances or experiences, and why does it stand out for you?
I have one. Do you?
Yeah, you crack on. Go on.
So we did a gig recently. It was a few months ago, and we did it in New Cross, which is like South London, Southeast London. And for us, it was kind of a big deal because we didn't know anyone going. We were on a lineup, very much thrown into the deep end. It was one of our first gigs that we sort of strayed our area a little bit and got out of like the pub vibe and more into like the new artist scene. And for us, it was an amazing experience, honestly, because we got to do all of our original songs, which is the first gig that we just did like all originals. So that was a huge moment for us. But also the thing that stood out for me with that was really getting strangers on side.
Yeah.
They didn't know us. We had to win the audience over. For us, before that, we were at gigs where we had the amazing support of friends and family, who are almost obliged to you know, show up and do their thing, but
and say how good we
and
were.
say how good we are. And you know, we're very harsh on ourselves. You know, we're harsh critics on ourselves, so we never truly believe that necessarily. But when strangers that don't know who we are go away and our songs in their head, or they speak to us afterwards and ask us for our Spotify, that was a really rewarding moment for me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was one of the highlights for me, for sure. That's one of the best shows I think we've done. I think because not necessarily because we've had worse shows since. In fact, I would say the opposite. I think Charlotte has sounded better. I've relaxed more as well. But I think it was one of those launchpad moments where we were like, loved being in front of a stranger, and then that competition to be better than the others. Don't say it disparagingly, but it's just like to hold our own and go, this is what we do, this is what we love doing.
Be proud of it.
And be proud of it. And our songs, we try to keep them concise as well, because we know there's listener fatigue is a real thing, particularly when you're listening to someone new. So, you know, you really got to be careful, because you can be like, oh, bore them out a little bit. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to hit them, punch them with it. And then next song done, over and out. And, but yeah, we had some great feedback from that night. And it was nice to hear and feel strangers like go, what was that? You know, and, you know, come over and say they wanted us. So yeah, that was a good night.
So are there any artists or genres you'd love to collaborate with in the future, and if so, why?
Well,
I'll start. We would love to. I would love to cover a few different genres. Like I mean, I'm a huge folk fan and dance fan. I've got a song at the moment which is coincidentally it's called Roots, but it's like we've got a dance version of the track, which is really fun and we love it. It's a little off-piste, but I love how Charlotte sounds on it against the backdrop of instrumentation that's in that dance track. And we've got a version that's more country. But I'm not limiting us to a particular sound. We're just going along with what the song needs, and hopefully arriving at that point where you kind of it's a very much a gut feeling, or like this song, yes, it's ready, we've got it, we feel like it. That's optimum. We can't make that any better now, and it's obviously it takes a lot of torment to get that to that point. But I'd love to do a dance track.
Yeah, me
love,
too.
Like mid-tempo Madonna-esque, Chic-esque kind of bouncy dance track. That would be really cool with a powerful layered vocal. That's just killer.
Yeah.
But artist-wise to work with, I mean, that's really I've struggled to even think about who I wouldn't want to write with and collaborate with, really.
Yeah, well, again, like you said, touching on genres, I'm hugely into orchestra, sort of full orchestra. So to ever get the opportunity to write for an orchestra, or like change our music to fit that would be amazing. I also love the mixture of like heavy guitars with that orchestra. I'm a huge fan.
You got me that Metallica and Symphony
I did,
vinyl, didn't you? Yeah, which was
Michael
class.
Caine,
Michael Kamen thing, yeah. Which I'm a huge Metallica fan, so yeah, that was and it's a great album.
But that sound is totally. I'd love to do something like that, something big but something beautiful at the same time. And you know, like we have touched on that in areas of our music. You know, we've gone. There are tiny elements of like neoclassical put in there. You know,
not that you've heard. It's on what's coming next.
Oh yeah.
So there's a song that we've just kind of finished recording called Capture, and that's borrows from the melodic minor, the harmonic minor, and some of the Phrygian stuff as well. So different modes. So we're trying to explore our sound maybe off piece, but seeing if we bring it together. But that song definitely explores some different things, which we're really excited to share. But at the same time, it's not to be clever for clever's sake. Again, it's about what the song tells us it needs.
And what my instinct is as well. And I can't help what I like, you know, so it shows, but I don't think that genre can ever really be a limitation to us, because we've discovered over this process that our sound is created because it's us. And we listen to some of our songs, and though they may be different in a different genre, we still feel like it sounds like us. And we're trying to work out what that little formula is, but all I can come down to is the fact that we're doing it. So we're going to go with it and not let genre sort of get in the way of that.
So finally, what's next for you?
Well, we've got a new release on the 30th of Jan called Winner. We've had, since Signs was released, we've had a lot of great feedback, and we've had a lot of expressions of interest from booking agents, PR companies, and all sorts. And it's changed planets and our connection with it. Everything's become a little bit more serious, because I think the scope of the project is exciting, but it's only going to be something if we drive this more like a business, and we really think about everything on all fronts. So we're going to be working with some various teams, let's say. So I don't want to say too much, but we're going to basically, the scaffolding's coming out around the Planet's business brand, and we're going to be working with people to try and expand this into the right corridors of this industry. Hopefully, let's see. We're very grounded. We are reluctant to get too excited, but in terms of releasing, we are trying to stay 2 or 3 songs ahead. So we're
currently recording. We've got a schedule of recording over the next 6 months to a year. We've got like a plan because we want to release consistently. We don't want to leave our interested people, without any music. So our priority is to make sure that they are fed with the music that we create. So we need to get, we do our demos in here, and then we're going to be in the studio.
We're already working on our 3rd release for this year, so we're ahead of schedule, which is great. We're working with someone very special, the producer Nathan, who is already in the industry. He's got fantastic equipment and resources and a depth of knowledge for his age, which is really great. And I think what we've really enjoyed about working with him is the instincts that he has in the process, and not only what the song might need or what the performance might need, but also when it's time to call a break, because we may be hungry, hungover, tired, shattered, but we will continue recording because we like that. But he will call it because he feels like that's what the session needs. So
having the 3rd person in the room is really valuable to us, and it's at this point we're sort of in the place where we need to open up and be vulnerable with other people so that they can help us, or we're wearing all the hats at the moment, and I'm keen to share the responsibility, and so that we can focus on what we're in it for, which is the writing, the creation, because the musicianship. So
that's it.
We'll
see where we are, hopefully in mid 2025.
Look forward to following your journey.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So a massive thank you, Planets, for joining me on Totally Music. If anyone would like to check out the music, I'll leave all the links in the description below for you. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for having us.